I am just about to head into the gym to do a glute and hamstring workout, and as always I will show you my entire training session, and I hope that you are able to get away some good tips that can help you when it comes to your training. My training focuses on hypertrophy as well as strength. So as you could see on my channel, I squat a lot, I deadlift a lot. I do that because I enjoy getting strong, but at the same time, I do also want to build muscle. So I do a lot of hypertrophy work. The intention for me to share my training with you all is to inspire you or just motivate you to get into the gym and start lifting weights to build confidence. Going to the gym to train, yes, it's you know, I do want to get strong, I want to build muscle, but it goes far beyond that. It really is for women out there to get strong in the mind and to gain confidence, for mental health as well. And honestly, I am not competing for a bodybuilding show. I think I have closed that chapter. It's more of me just purely enjoying training for how it makes me feel, and that helps me become strong and confident, and especially for my mental well-being. So I hope that you enjoy this video, and I will see you in there. Hello, it's your girl Ella, and I am going to take you through my entire glute and hamstring workout. And I thought I'll just pop on here to share voiceover cues, tips, as well as form guidance that can help you make the most out of your training session. And starting off with the first exercise, I am starting off with hip thrusts, and I typically start off with a loop band around my knees just to help activate, in other words, wake up those glutes, and also really about pushing those knees out to feel it in the side glutes, because it is quite, in this season that that day when I was training, it was quite cold, and I usually train in the morning, so the glutes aren't as activated because I'm not moving throughout the day. So just activating those glutes, pushing those knees out and getting a feel of the movement pattern, which is what I will be doing in the working set. And I really like to push the knees out and really hit that peak contraction right at the top here, really squeezing that strong glutes at the same time keeping the ribs tucked in, and that way it's sort of, you know, putting that glutes in its most peak contraction. So when I say peak contraction, it is where the glutes is in its most shortened position. Basically what that means is when your hips are fully locked out, then your glutes are shortened. So you're combining it all together to focus on that activation and engagement in order to grow muscle when you put the load on. And here, this is my first, I suppose, warm-up set, and I also like to have the band there. It could also help you in pushing those knees out. It is a lot more challenging because you would feel more through your glutes, but in saying that, I like to have it there just to really maximize the engagement and the recruitment of the entire glutes, because you've got your glute max, which is the biggest part, then you've got your glute medius, which is on the side, and you've also got your glute minimus, which is deeper in. Having the band there really hits all together. You don't have to have it, but I generally like to have it just to engage everything. And make sure when you do the hip thrusts, if you go heavier, have the pad. I often find that I won't be able to be comfortably hip thrust this weight without the pad. Usually you just get like a yoga mat and fold it up so that it gives you that extra cushioning. Otherwise it will dig into your hips and it will hurt. This would be my first working set. So before was the warm-up, just adding an extra plates on either side. And again, holding onto the handles I find helps with a little bit more control. And I often find that when people do the hip thrust, it's like, what do I do with my hands? Do I have it out the front of me? Do I have it on the side? I usually hold onto the handles or just out the side, as you could see here. And in this set, I don't have the banded loop around my knees because this is a really challenging exercise. Okay, well, this set here, this would be the second set. I think perhaps I remembered to put it on. And again, you want to push through your heels, and as you hip thrust up, you would notice that my chin is tucked down. When your chin is tucked down, it will naturally make your ribs tucked down as well, so that you ensure that you have a flat back as you hip thrust up. And think of it as though you're scooping, and you'd notice how my feet positioning, I'm sort of, as I come down, I'm making it really hard for myself because I really want to grow those glutes. You want to lean into the hard when it comes to hypertrophy, so basically growing your glutes and pushing through the heels as I hip thrust up. This would probably be my last set, where I just do a finisher only on the last set. You could decide to do it, or if you don't want to do it, that's fine. But generally after the last or the final set, I would just do a finisher. This is what I'm doing here. The band is challenging. I want the extra burn. Always do it on your last set, so that you have the energy to finish off the remainder of your set. You could add this in, you don't have to, but I like it just as a finisher to add the extra burn. And as you could see, I'm really pushing through the heels of my feet and having that peak contraction at the top. And when you do the hip thrust, it's not about going heavy. It really is about connecting that mind to the muscle. And I always say this, you have to lift any kind of weight, whatever exercise that you're doing, it's always about intention. And this one would be right afterwards, where I just do single-legged abduction with the band. You're not able to see the band, but this is just as a finisher. Again, you can add it or you don't have to. I just like the extra burn. It just feels really good, especially when the glutes are already quite fired up. Then just having this finisher really adds to it. Coming on to the next exercise, which is the Dumbbell Romanian deadlifts, the RDLs. One tip for you guys is to make sure you unrack it just around the knee area, not off the floor, because if you lift it off the floor, you basically waste energy from lifting it off the floor, because the amount of the sort of, when you pick it up off the floor compared to what I'm doing here, which is just situated above the knee, you save so much energy for the actual lift itself. I am using wrist straps. Wrist straps are key, especially if you are going a lot heavier with the RDLs. You want to make sure that you have good grip strength, and the wrist straps that I'm using will aid in that. And as you could see here, making sure my neck is in line with my spine, so the neck is all the way down to hip hinge the hips back, keeping the dumbbell as close to your body as possible. Think of it as the dumbbells are coming in one straight line, and then when I rack it, then it's just popping on top rather than just dropping it on the floor. Again, this would be my second set. Already, done the wrist straps. Okay, and again here, take your time with this. Be intentional. I will always say, be intentional. Core tight, engage your lats, and then you hip hinge back, and then hip hinge back, push the floor away, and strong hip drive through, keeping the dumbbell as close to your body as possible, and making sure that your neck is in line with your whole spine. That way you are able to optimize and target the glutes and hamstrings. When it comes to the knees, a soft knees is perfectly fine. So having the knees or the shins vertical to optimize and feel it in the glutes and hamstring. If you have more of a bend of the knees, you will feel it more in your glutes. And if you have a less knee bend, hamstring. Moving on to the next exercise here, which is the lying leg curl. This is how, guys, you come onto the lying leg curl. Where the pad is, just above your knees, rest it there and then come forward. Then, as you could see with the lying leg curl, you want to make sure that your hips are fully locked the entire set. And as you could see with this machine, and I'm sure with a lot of machines in the gym, there is just that break at the hips. And we want to make sure, that is why you could see my body is sort of upright. I'm not laying down entirely on the pad. My chest is sort of up off the pad. This is just to help keep the hips from breaking where the break is at on the machine. So making sure that your hips are fully locked, especially on the way down. This is my second set, just to show you a little bit on the side. As you could see, my chest is up. You want to kick all the way back and control it down. The tip here is to squeeze your glutes. The common mistake that I see people make is that they break at the hips. You want to make sure the hips are locked down. If you find your hips coming up or shooting up, then you need to lower your weight. Drop the ego, lower the weight, and focus on mind to muscle connection when you are doing the lying leg curl. You don't need to go too heavy. If you go too heavy, then the hips will shoot up and you'll feel it all in your lower back. To optimize this exercise, guys, make sure that you are going at a load that you could optimally feel it in your hamstrings. So lower the weight, squeeze the glutes, especially on the way out. You will feel your hamstrings on fire. This is the final set here, just to show you more on the side. And as you come down, you could see that the plates don't come all the way down. The plates just stop right here. This just keeps your hamstrings under constant tension so that you're able to work on that mind to muscle, keep the hamstrings under constant tension the entire set, and it burns really, really good. So a few takeaways is to make sure your hips are locked down and squeeze it, especially on the way out, and you don't want to shoot your hips up at all. And also at the same time, what would help is to make sure your core is engaged. This is my final set. As you could see, I am pretty taxed out, and again, really leaning into the hard, pushing yourself out of your comfort zone, but with good form and technique, which is incredibly important. The next exercise, as you could see, I'm following the distance. I'm trying to pick up those weights in the purple leggings that you could see, walking a dumbbell across so that I could show you this exercise, which is the single leg RDLs, and they are such an amazing exercise if you want to build your glutes and hamstrings on single leg. I love single leg because you get much more of a deeper range of motion and you're working on the single leg. So if you had one side which is stronger or weaker, let's just say it's weaker, then you can really work on building up that strength to bring up the balance. This is what it's on the other side. Take at least 15-second rest in between each side so that you have the energy to perform this. As you could see here, I am holding on to the bench just to keep stability and optimally hit the glutes and hamstrings. You want to also make sure your hips are always facing forward. This is what it looks like on the side, as mentioned. Holding on to the bench just to support a break at the hips. Notice how the hips are forward. You don't want to open up your hips. You want to make sure your hips are squared. This way you will target the glutes and hamstrings optimally, keeping the dumbbell the same as the dumbbell RDLs, as close to your body as possible, and hinging at the hips. Everything is engaged. Your lats, your core is engaged. at all times when you do this. And again, connect your mind to your muscle. What muscles are you working towards? Here we're hitting the glutes and the hamstrings. Throughout the set, this is what I'm doing. I'm being intentional and I'm visualizing the glutes and the hamstrings and it being engaged to be able to perform this exercise. Again, keeping your core tight and hip hinging. Moving on to the next exercise, which is a seated leg curl. I really like this exercise because with this movement pattern, so the RDLs are a big hip hinge movement. You're hinging at the hips, you're breaking at the hips, whereas with the leg curl you will target your hamstrings, but you are flexing at the knee. As you could see here, the heels come in and it's putting your hamstrings in its shortened position as well as lengthened as you're coming out. When you do this lying leg curl, always make sure that your feet is the thigh of your thighs is touching the pad. This way you get a lot more stability. It's locked in that position and all you're doing is your heels are coming in and you're slowly controlling it out. With this one, do not have to go too heavy. We want to focus on that mind to muscle connection, and this is probably my second or third last exercise where I am just going all out here. This would be the last set here, going super light, making sure that your thighs or your legs is really snug in that position, so that all you are doing is flexing at the knee. You're coming in and really focusing on that mind to muscle connection. Make sure your heels come all the way in to get that full range of motion. I'm holding on to the machine in front just to give me that stability and focusing on optimizing the glute, the hamstrings here. Yes, lean into the hard, challenge yourself, get yourself out of your comfort zone. The next exercise, which is a popular glute exercise, which is the cable hip abductor. Abduction means you're going away from your body. You're putting your hips in its you're going away, so you're putting in its most shortened position. Here, I just want to take your time here. You want to make sure there's a little bit of a break, so you're leaning a little bit far forward, and then what you're doing is you are controlling it out. And please do not use momentum. Here I am going super light and focusing on that mind to muscle connection. As you could see, from my head all the way to my hips, it's not moving. It's stuck in that position. And what aids to be stuck in that position is to make sure your lats as well as your core is like fixed. It's on. If it's not on, then you will be using momentum. You'll be also using momentum if you're going way too heavy. And the goal here is to not go too heavy, otherwise you're using momentum, and to not go too light, otherwise you're just not engaging or recruiting the muscles that you want to engage, which is your glutes. What would help you guys as well is to hold on to the pole. As you could see here, this would just really target the muscles that you're working on. You could see that I'm holding onto the pole here to give me that stability. You don't need to, another tip here is you don't need to go too far forward. Just a short lean forward is fine. And with this one here, I also wanted to say that even though the foot is abducting, which is going away from the midline, that is the glute that we are working towards to put it in its most shortened position. The foot that is on the floor, you will also feel it. Often people say that, oh, I feel the standing foot. You are supposed to feel the standing foot because that acts as a stabilizer. That helps prevent your hips from shifting away as your other foot is going away. So both glutes are being worked. One is stabilizing and the other one is put in its most shortened position. Take your time here. And if it's too light, go a little bit heavier. And if it's too heavy, then work on that control. As you could see, I'm not rushing the movement, and you could just really study and observe my face. I want you to observe my face in this set here. just observe it. You want to be intentional. You want to have that focus when it comes to any kind of exercises that you're doing. And yeah, let me know if you like these voiceover cues and tips, and if you do have any questions with the entire training session, please do let me know so that I could do a future video on it, or do more of these if you'd like. There will be more videos to come, educational videos to come, but I just really wanted to show you guys and go through a voiceover where I take you through my session. So yeah, drop your questions in the comment section below. I always get back to everyone. And yeah, so here some takeaways is the focus, control, and connect your mind to your muscle. And again, as you could see, not using momentum, taking my time. So I hope that you enjoyed this video, and let me know in the comments section if you'd like more of these. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Otherwise, I will see you in the next one.